Everybody, it's Kevin Hackenberg, and welcome to Christians Who Drink Whiskey and Their Open-Minded Friends podcast, live stream. It's everything, guys. And I'm excited to be here with you in this weird, wacky week that, here we are in the middle of between the Christmas and New Year's season 2021, almost 2022. You guys who are still writing checks, remember, starting in 24 hours, you got to put a 2 on the end, not a 1. And, today's date, no idea. Is it the 27th? It's my dad's birthday, the 27th. I don't think so. I was there for that. Is it the 28th? My friend Steve's birthday. It's not the 28th. Is it the 29th today? Maybe. Is it the 30th? Could be. 31st? I'm sure I should be somewhere if it's the 31st at this late of hour. For all I know, it's the 4th of January, 2022, and I've already missed 3 shoots. But what day is it? Let's be honest. You don't even know what day it is. But what I do know is this, that Chason Laing, I probably said that wrong. Chason Laing is in the waiting room. He is the executive producer of Lumindeo&TOMF, and he's at a crossroads. I'm super excited to talk to him today. He's an avid writer, filmmaker. I've been enthralled with this dude's work for the last 5-7 years. And he's a snowboarder. If we go out on the slopes, he will take me out, no problem. Anyway, I'm going to bring him in. And actually, before I do, I want to introduce him in this way. I want to show this little awesome piece of his work that shows you how much of a awesome storyteller this dude is. I found this, and it's perfect for the night because we are on Christians Who Drink Whiskey and Their Open-Minded Friends. Watch this. I gotta just whoop. All right, Chason, welcome. I'm watching your work today. I'm getting caught up. It's been a while since I kind of tuned in, and I found this clip, and I was like, oh my word, it's Christmas. You're storytelling. You tell me to drink whiskey. What should I do?
Yeah, it's kind of a thing. I tell stories to my kids every Christmas, and I try to make a effort to write them down and make them really fun. I just accidentally always make them a little bit off. Yeah, they're not your typical stories. They're going to be a little weird somewhere, and so But I think that's just how it is around my house. So I kind of go for it.
Welcome to my little off podcast. Everybody,
awesome.
Everyone's like, hey, I'm making this podcast. Like, oh, what's it called? Christians Who Drink Whiskey. And no matter what, someone's like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh.
So you're a little off for being here. Thank you. Are you drinking tonight? What are you drinking?
Yeah, I drink whiskey on the rocks. I just drink it. That's how it is. And there's a nice little distillery that's local here. Shout out to Acre Distillery. I like their stuff, so they gave me some stuff, and that's what I'm trying out tonight.
All right, cool. I've got one of my supporters, Nancy Hansen, dropped us with the Big Spring Spirit, a local distillery here. I'm going to pour it over some rocks myself. I'm a man that likes his rocks. I appreciate that. And cheers, man.
Yeah, cheers. That I missed, but there you go.
We'll add the clink later. You at home can add your own clink. Make your own sound effect at home.
Yeah.
One glass, one rock, some kind of liquid of your choice. Wine, whiskey, water for the wine, whatever.
For sure.
So cheers, man.
Yeah. I'm glad to be here, man. This is fun.
Yeah, I mean, what I've loved about this podcast, you're number 49, the 49th conversation I've had starting pre-pandemic. And what's great about it is it's just conversation. We're just having conversation like they used to do back in the day.
Yeah.
Before we had Zoom.
Yeah. Who knew that was a special thing until now?
But it's great to just have these conversations and to get to know people a little better. I think we connected in person. If I didn't send you some random email from the internet saying how much I loved your work, we met in person in New Jersey at Churches Making Movie Conference.
Yes, which was interesting, which was nice to meet somebody that I'm still talking to even now from there, because you go to a bunch of festivals and it's hard to keep track of everybody that you meet. So it's kind of nice that we have a connection. And that it's not a huge one either. It's a smaller festival. So
no, there was like I feel like it was like one of those you go to some film festivals and you're like, oh cool, there were like 3 people that aren't filmmakers that came.
Yeah,
and I think
I've been to some festivals where I showed up and there were 3 people there. That's it. So
total.
There's always that too.
Film festivals, baby, woo!
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just a little introduction to for the viewers who don't know you and love you as much and stalk you as much as I do. You've been a filmmaker for a long time, and you've made a bunch of stuff. Like, let me just give some shout outs here from your IMDb. You've got this amazing series. It's on Amazon Prime right now called Breakers.
Yep.
We'll show you a little trailer from that if you're cool with it. We got
a
kids puppet show called Wyatt's Fort. I kind of, because I was going through the same process you were, starting a nonprofit and trying to make content. There's a show called Network that have some episodes out there that was really like, maybe tear up. I'm like, that's me.
Yeah, anybody who's like an indie filmmaker in the Christian film space and you watch that, it actually it's a little too close to home. It'll get you. It's a
Yeah. No, but it was great. It was great that you're telling your stories, and then the what I want to talk to you more about here, maybe a little bit offline, is Sheer Pandemic, which is like a great little I just saw the trailer for that. Is that a feature film that's coming out? Or?
It's a feature film. I have a distributor already. They picked it up last year. It's long. I don't know what you want to get into it, but it should be. I was told it's coming out like now in January, and I don't actually know where. Hashtag,
are they waiting for the pandemic to be over to kind of like?
I hope not. The whole point was like play it now, give people a little bit of like laughter about the whole thing, rather than just sit here forever. But I don't know. I think it's supposed to come out. I wish I could tell you. Believe me, there's a lot of people that wish I could tell them exactly when. I was told beginning of January. That's all I know.
We're gonna start a chant at the end of this show. We're gonna be like, release,
yes,
release the film.
Hashtag, come on, Green Apple. Where is it?
Anyway, so there's some great stuff. I'm gonna show, if it's cool, I'll show a trailer for that. We're talking about it, and I think it's super awesome. So I'm gonna go over here to this, hit that button, hit this button, and we are off showing this trailer. Coming
Nice.
soon, a TBD coming soon. Dude, that's
Yes.
awesome. So much
Thank you.
fun. The little girl saying neither of you guys look essential is like
Yes.
my favorite part.
Yes. She's my favorite part of the whole movie. That's my daughter, by the way. So
Oh,
kind of my
what's her
favorite
name?
part of her name's Shiloh.
Shiloh.
Yeah, when she's on the screen, she
Cute.
definitely steals the show with her little moments there. She's got the acting gene. So
What and obviously you play lead role. Like how so
yeah,
what tell me
well,
about the origin. What's the origin story
so
of Chason?
there was this thing. I don't know if you were aware that happened, but there was this pandemic that happened, and
Haven't heard of it.
yeah, and it shut down everybody, and so it hit at a really just rough time for the whole film industry. And so I'm here in Dallas, and so there is film stuff happening. But when that happened, like the whole world basically shut down and did nothing, and all the news was just negative, everything bad. We're all gonna die. It's on and on and on and on it went.
They were right
And
about that, by the way.
yeah. And so I just kind of was sitting around one day and no one was doing anything. And, I was trying to find some outside work, but with everything shut down, I was like, well, here I am. I'm sitting with time and equipment. And then I had friends all over the place that are actors that I've worked with many times that are all doing nothing. And so I basically said, hey guys, would any of you be willing to do a feature film with me? We'll film it right now in the middle of the pandemic. It will be no budget. And, I can get you all here and we'll just have some fun, and we'll put out something that has at least a positive message. That it doesn't really at any point make light of the fact that there is, like an actual virus and stuff like that. Instead, it's focused more on just the comedy of the way people are acting when there's fear and how we deal with fear. And so I thought that would be a good message to put out there in the world, is just, hey guys, fear is always going to be there, but how we live with it and what we do with it, that's kind of a big deal, and we can control that. So I wrote it and I recruited everybody and we went out and filmed it. My wife was the DP. I mean, it was like, we had to keep it like, it's the tiniest, like no cast, like there was nobody there. Ironically, it was really, really fun and everybody had a really good time. Nobody caught COVID because of it. So that was great. And we managed to make a really fun, feature film out of it. And the actual plan was just to put it on YouTube, and I was just going to release it there and say, hey, share it. And if people enjoy it, great. And I put it on YouTube for, I don't know, it was like a day. And then distributors, several different ones actually hit me up saying, hey, what are you doing with this? Can we have it? And I was really torn. Like I was really on the fence about whether or not to go with the distributor, just put it out on YouTube. And in the end, I went with the distributor. And unfortunately, I mean, that's a great thing. But at the same time, I kind of lost control of when it comes out. So they took it, they did artwork, and they did, what distributors do and all the behind the scenes stuff. And so now I'm just waiting on it to come out. And then hopefully people will get to see it on a greater scale. But it was great. It was fun.
That's all. I mean, super. It's just so good, dude. It's a lot of your stuff just has this amazing, good quality to it. Like really entertaining, and you write all your own stuff. And also, so go back to before you dove into that. I was asking the question about the origin story. Like, what's your origin story? Where did you did you go to film school? You went to art school, advertising? What did you went to theology? Seminary?
So I'll give it to you, a fast nutshell version. So I actually started making films with my best friends in high school for our church. We would do my screen just moved around. We would do now we're good. We would do these just hilarious spoofs of movies. And dude, it was so old school. In order to edit these things, I had 2 VCRs and I had them set next to each other, and I would put them in and I would splice my video from one VCR or VHS to the other VHS. And that is how I was cutting my first movies, was that, just completely amateur hour. I had there was no computer, there was no nothing. It was just like, I made them that way. And ironically, everyone thought they were hilarious. And so we made a whole bunch of them that way. And that was just kind of my thing. And I really thought that was kind of where it would end. And then I went to college and I did some more films like that, just off and on stuff. various, people would hire you to do like, hey, come and film a wedding or come and film an event or something like that. And it was not anything glamorous at all. And then when I graduated college, I got married, and then we went to Dallas Theological Seminary. And it wasn't until I was there. And the truth with that is I didn't want to go to seminary. I really did not want to go. It was like, if I'd had my way, I would not have gone. But my wife and I were both praying about it. And we felt like I was saying, hey, you need to go to seminary. And we were like, I really don't want to go. School is not my favorite thing. And, but we went, and I was there, and I ran into a professor there named Reg Grant, who was doing film. And that kind of was like, I realized the power of the medium, and I didn't think it was being utilized by the I say Christians generally, just across the board. I didn't think it was being utilized very well anywhere that I could find. And so the idea of incorporating a ministry truth calling with film made sense for me in a big way.
What do you think is that, like, what do you think is the nuance that's missing?
Well, I would say probably two major things. One, I think that a lot of in the Christian film / ministry space, the inclination is to minister, to, like, you think of yourself almost like a failure if you don't give the Roman road out in the film. If you are not, if they can watch the film and not have a whole step process of here's how you know Jesus, here's what to do, here's what to pray, here's the words to say, then somehow your film didn't do the job, and you missed the mark in, like, D, that's your grade. And I feel like the problem is that the rest of the world, when it comes to storytelling for thousands and thousands of years, storytelling, there's an actual way to do it. And, like, there's a God design in story, and a lot of stories do not have that arc in there. There might, we could dive into stories super deep here, but we're not going to. But I feel like in the rest of the world focuses on, can we tell a good story? And they don't really spend much time thinking about a Roman road or any of that stuff. They just like, can we tell a story? Can we make money off the story? Then let's do it. And the Christian world is like, well, the can you tell a story part is like way secondary. It's like, who are you? What's your ministry like first? Where are you going to pray in this story? Does somebody know Jesus? And, like, are we going to make sure that all the sinful things look sinful and all the non-sinful things look good? And so it's just backwards in writing. And so for me, I'm just very, I'm a more like, you start with the story first. And if you write the story well, your worldview and what you believe will come out in that story. And then it can be a powerful thing. But if you start the other way around, like, I want to communicate a message, well, it's going to fail in a major way, because as soon as you start preaching at an audience, they know you're doing it and they're going to turn you off. And these days it's easy. It's like a click, it's like on to the next thing, and they're never going to look back. And that's what I think the majority of Christian film has become, is just, here's a guy who struggles with anger. And then the audience is they've already clicked off. They're already on to the next thing, because, Keanu is in another film and they want to see what that is. So, you're not competing. You're not even in the same ballpark or in the same sport. You're in a totally different realm. And for me, there's opportunity there. Convincing people that there's an opportunity there is extremely hard. So
yeah, it's very the wearing your ministry on your sleeve can help the mission, the fundraising.
Yeah,
but just having a storytelling, having a bard, you're like, hey, I want to go into missions work. I want to be a bard. I'm just going to tell stories.
It's not going to happen. They're going to be like, where's your church? Did you plant it? What can you show us? Where's your curriculum? That's like, you're like, I want to tell stories. They're like, oh, that's great. Can you just put it out on, will Amazon take it? Will Netflix take it? And just,
yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, so anyway, but the stories, I just want to say the stories that you've been telling, and I know we had some trouble. Something's the audio's not coming through. Some of the teasers I'm sharing, but I'll put in the links when we get done here. The Breakers trailer, and which feels like Breakers feels like a dramatic action. It's like 24 meets Groundhog's Day. Is my
kind of, yeah, kind of.
and watch the trailer and you'll figure out why it's 20. I mean, I said Groundhog's Day, so you know why it's 24.
Sure.
But the so there's that. There's the network, which is like, you know, our true story, trying to do ministry, do TV, and then why it's for you. Just been out there, like just put it all out there, and the creativity, man, is like off the chain. So you were forced, you know, arm behind your back, pushed off to get your MINDIV or whatever.
Yeah.
But where did you start there? Did you have an undergrad doing like advertising, doing anything creative?
My undergrad was in biblical studies languages, so I learned Greek and Hebrew very well, and then I continued Greek and Hebrew into seminary where I got the THM at Dallas, and that was rough.
You should have made Breakers and Sheer Pandemic in Hebrew. And Greek, you know,
and then put it out for Hanukkah.
Pull Mel Gibson,
celebrate it.
Pull Mel Gibson there, you know, like.
Oh man,
it's exotic. No. Give it some exotic, you know, like.
Yeah.
You know what's great about that is like maybe the Christian audience would be like they don't understand the language, so they're like, I bet he's giving the Romans Road right now, you know, and then
it's on the subtitles.
You have the subtitles for the Christian audience. That is just the Romans Road over and over.
Yeah, I mean, we make fun of it. It's easy to laugh at, but I mean that is the truth. If you don't show somebody praying somewhere, it's not going to do good in the Christian realm. Like you're gonna get immediate doors closed on you because they're like, oh, you did not say Jesus in it clearly.
They're soft. They close softly with love, but
I don't think it's that soft, man. Maybe they are for you. For me, it's like we're in the middle of a conversation. Somebody's like, hello. Wait, what happened? And there it's gone.
Yeah, but anyway, so where to go from here? I just love everything you put out. I mean, I just really appreciate you putting it out. I mean, so where's the creativity come from? I guess that's my question. You were doing these high school VCR to VCR. I did VCR to VCR, but I wasn't that like quick. In high school, a friend of mine, or this guy in my high school class, made this like horror movie VCR to VCR, and I was just like, "Whoa, that's genius!" It took me another like 10 years for me to understand that I was going to be a filmmaker. So I'm not that quick to figure out my destiny. You were doing it in high school.
Well, so I figured out real quick I remember the church and the setting. There was 100 youth at this particular church at the time, and I remember. I did the first video and I just knew like, if I put this together this way, like I bet I can make people laugh. And so I would put it together and then I'd go and play it and I'd stand at the back of the room in the dark and they would play this thing. And then when everybody cracked up, it's like the best feeling ever. Cause you're like, I just made all these people laugh and you just, you set them all up. And so like that became like a major thing that I like to do is I would play a movie and then I'd sit at the back of the room and just watch people react. And the truth is, if you're a filmmaker long enough, like even now with Breakers, when we premiered Breakers and did this stuff, by the time everybody else is seeing it, I've got every line memorized. I know every cut. I mean, it's so old school. There's no objectivity left. And so for me, I just sit around and I watch the room and I can tell from the look on this person or that person's face, is this working? Did it work? Did it get a response or did it not get a response or whatever? And so, for me, that was kind of a deal, but it's all about, the most powerful thing that I realized that you can do with the story is that you can take a thought, and if you tell the story right, you can put that thought in somebody else's head. It's kind of like the whole Inception thing.
Oh yeah, it exactly is Inception. Exactly.
Yes, and if you do it right, you can put that thought in their head, and then they carry that little thought around with them, and that just bounces around their head, and eventually it will come out. And so for me, it's never been about telling stories to get people all the way to, where you're at Jesus. I'm more like the dude that picks up the guy on the mat. And it's like, let's carry the mat up there and then we'll set him there and then let somebody else lower him down. And then by the time they get to Jesus, they'll do their thing. My job is just to put that little thought in there where they're like, hey, put me on this mat. I want to go over there. And that's that for me, that is the whole ministry, is to just put thoughts in people's heads in that way. And so, unfortunately, that doesn't always work in the Christian film realm. They don't like it so opaque, maybe. I don't know what the right word. I don't
know the word either. I think that's interesting because that whole not a parable, that story with Jesus, those are the guys I think if I remember correctly, you got the you got the degree here in theology. If I remember correctly, those are the guys that got credited. Like your friends have faith.
Yeah.
You know, like those are the guys that got credited in that story for believing
Right.
and doing the work. I think it's really cool. That's really interesting. I've not thought of that one before. It's a great.
Well, it's you know, there's everybody thinks that the best thing is if they make a movie, they put it in the theater, and the person watches the movie, and then right then at the very end of that movie, when everyone's supposed to be tearing up, that's when the person in the audience suddenly, you know, comes to awareness of Jesus. And every now and then that actually does happen. So you can't say it doesn't happen, because it actually can happen, because God can do things like that. But I think, you know, for a lot of people, if you're viewing it like your success as a filmmaker on that, then I feel like you're missing out on. Sometimes it's just the little things that get in there, like that little idea can really change a person's life and start putting them down a path that will ultimately, you know, get them there. Not all of us have to be like the closer. You know, some of us can just be the ones that puts those ideas in there and then trust that God brings the other people around to close and to show them, you know, the final questions.
ABC, always be closing. Always be closing. Or someone's got to plant. Someone's got to plant that seed.
Yeah.
So you can always be closed. No, I think that I really just what I heard you say, which I think was amazing. What I love about comedy, I think why I lean toward loving to direct and produce comedy or just screen it.
Yeah.
Is that comedy is this, like, I think with drama, you know, or with drama, suspense, stop on some music. And obviously your stuff is better than this, but you just slap on some music and it's like, oh wow, this is the sad moment. I'll think sad thoughts. Oh, this is the tense moment. But comedy is pass or fail.
Right.
You know, like you put a joke in that script, you hand it to somebody else, they don't laugh. You're like, oh, back to the drawing board. You know,
right.
You go to the shoot, everybody agrees it's funny. The actors aren't delivering it, or something about the scene is just not working. You're like, and then in the theater, when you hear that laughter, you're like, awesome. When you don't, you're like, oh, that's we're going to back and re-edit that shot, or add a little zing before it to make sure the audience knows they can laugh. I mean, I love comedy because it's pass fail. It's, you know, that the soil was tilled.
Yeah.
So that,
and you can tell if it works
later. You can plant that seed. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. I'm a big fan. Like, I think comedy, even in my dramas, comedy just naturally kind of comes out in most of the aspects, because sometimes the humor can be the best way to reveal, you know, truth bits and things, just because it's funny. And if you can't laugh at it, then you have a problem.
Yeah. Well, anyway. I was at this moment I was going to play another teaser, but the audio's not figured out. So let me just dive in. Let me do some business first.
Yeah.
First off, I want to thank Chason for joining me today. First off, super amazing. If you want to get in touch with me and talk about what's happening here at Funny&Amen, email us funny&amen@gmail.com. You know, Funny&Amen is a nonprofit. And so we are run poorly by me, but we're run because of your donations. So you can become one of our 700 club supporters. Visit funny&amen.com, and there's a big support button over there. Hit that. Just a big shout out. Last year we did our 10-hour April Fool's live stream. We're kind of gearing up to do that again. So April Fools, if you got nothing to do, tune in. If you got a prank that you're planning on doing with a friend, call me, get in touch with me, funny&amen@gmail.com. We're going to go live all day. So if you got pranks, toilet paper your youth group leader's house, which, sorry, Paul and Crystal, my youth leaders, that happened a lot. You know, call us. Big shout outs to some of our patrons who are still, you know, giving monthly, and we just super appreciate it. You're making shows like this happen, getting these conversations going, planting seeds, and just really super appreciate all of you. So we want to thank all of our patrons. Yeah, we are in the business of spreading joy, not germs. And again, support us at funny&amen.com. So, gonna hide this big old banner and some of these things. I'm, teeding my own show here. So, Chason, filmmaker with us. If you skip ahead, joining us now. Chason's here from Texas.
Yep.
And you're headed in a new. You want to talk about anything about where you're headed now?
Sure. Well, I mean, so I mean, for the longest time, we've been focused. Like we were running kind of like you, a nonprofit that was making, faith-based film content of various kinds, and we've done different runs and different avenues of trying to make that work and making it work sometimes and then not other times, and just that whole journey. Now I'm largely kind of pushing just off on my own thing. I'm working with some marketing agencies here in Dallas, Fort Worth, and then kind of doing kind of my own ventures here pretty soon on, video marketing and trying some things that I think that are, maybe more business friendly, because in the end, you've got to, provide for your family, feed people. There's a lot of little people here. They got to eat, and you got to do that. So that's kind of an important thing. And I don't really know what is the next step in, narrative style film. I don't know. I tell myself I'm never going to do that again. I've said that every time I've ever made anything. And then I keep making more stuff. It's like you just keep returning to that. I don't know, but so it'll probably happen again. I don't know. You're
so good at it, man. I might pull you. I'm not giving up yet, and I might pull you back in, but we'll see. Only God knows. And I'm trying to be wise with it. But no, seriously, just watching more of your stuff again today. I was just really excited, man. You got mad talent.
Thank you very much. I don't do compliments well, so I'm gonna just say thank you very much and yes.
You got to be more arrogant, man. See, that's why you're not ready for Hollywood.
I can't do it.
Hollywood, man. You got to be like, yes, I thought that the way I wrote the script, it would just, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't think that's the only reason I'm not ready for Hollywood. I definitely don't have whatever that is. So my wife's always like, just say thank you. When people say something, say thank you. I'm like, okay, I will say thank you. And that's where
He did it great tonight. Congrats. Yeah, good job. But your training is coming. Your Jedi training is coming in handy.
Yes, she's good at that.
So let me jump into the questions. I got these usual questions.
Sure.
They're fun. They're the kind of questions where I like to take the conversation, in this, what like you, I'm trying to plant these seeds so that the audience will take the conversation there. But this podcast, I can just flat out ask people.
Sure.
And what I'm really excited about this podcast is having people on it that aren't, Jesus followers like you sound like you might be, and just having these honest conversations on set wherever we fall. So check it out. Our usual starter question at the half hour is, Chason, what do you think of Jesus?
Oh, well, I mean, if I haven't kind of led that question a little bit already, but I mean, I'm a firm believer that Jesus is God and the Trinity, and you believe in him, and that's the only way for salvation. So for me, it's pretty, straightforward, and that's kind of how I roll things. And he's pretty much the motivation for everything I do, one way or the other, is telling, his story. And, yeah, I mean, I don't know if is that a simple enough answer? Are you wanting deeper than that, or?
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, did you're in Texas, so there's a high percentage, high chance that we're here in America. There's a high chance, but in Texas, there's like a 99% chance you grew up, church in it. Yeah,
I mean, my parents, they grew up. We went to a lot of Baptist churches, and so I grew up, I would say, more Baptist than anything else. In the end,
I'm sorry for that. Me too. Yeah.
Well, it's how, and I think there's a lot of great things, about the Baptist group. Not to go off on that realm or anything.
Kidding.
Yeah, but for me, I really capitalized in high school. Like, I feel like, I don't know if you're like that or not, but for me, sometime around 15, 16, there was just this moment of, realization, for me of like what it actually meant to follow Jesus. And it's not just this little simple prayer that you say and it's like, oh yeah, I'm good now. And it's a much more like life-changing, altering, all your decisions change after this moment. And I realized it in high school really strongly. And that's pretty much propelled me from then on. Like a lot of my decisions have then come out of making that belief, like following it. And so, yeah, I mean, that for me, that was in high school. And so I've done non-denominational. And again, I went to a Baptist university, and I went to a non-denominational seminary. And so I've kind of had the gamut. My thing has never been which denomination is right. I like to ask as many questions as I can and drive everybody crazy. And then I like to study and figure it out, kind of come to my own, here's what I believe, here's why I believe it. And, if I don't know what the answer is, then I just tell you, I don't know what the answer is. And that's really kind of how I am. I'm very just even like that. And so, yeah, so my faith system has come largely just out of asking never-ending questions until I found, I don't want to say satisfaction, but until I feel I found like God, I'm happy to rest in this. And whether I know everything or don't know everything, I'm happy to rest in that, and I'm comfortable. And that's kind of where I landed.
It's awesome. Thanks for sharing with that. Yeah, very similar experience. And maybe a lot of people, like I think high school is that time when you're nearly out of your parents' house, and you start to like get some independence. Maybe you get your own car if you're here in the States or not in a city, and you're starting to kind of like veer out on your own. You got like, I need to like make this my belief or not. And so that's a cool. Yeah, it's a good.
Well,
good thing.
I'm a really big believer in it's okay to ask all the questions and just ask and keep asking and keep asking and going down and learning for yourself and not just relying on some especially like a Facebook post, oh my gosh. But I think you get in there, and that was one of my big reasons to learn Greek and Hebrew, is because I actually wanted to go back to the original text and read it for myself and be able to say, I have looked at these scrolls. I have actually looked at it myself. I've read them all. Here's what I believe. Here's why I believe it. And here's all the different things. And until I could do that, I just knew I wouldn't be completely satisfied in my faith at all, or in in telling somebody else about it. And so that's, for me, it's a driving factor. It's just asking questions and thinking it's okay to ask questions. And I easily can tell you, I don't have my parents' beliefs, because my beliefs are because I've made them. Like, they're 100% mine and my own, and I will hold them for me.
Yeah. And that's something to celebrate. I think that, for parents that are maybe watching this thing, that's something to celebrate, is that your kids have, if they've done the research,
Right.
that they've found their own beliefs. It's hard when they're not your own. It's hard when they go a different way.
If they're not, eventually you're going to hit a spot, especially in today's culture, which is all about attacking you in every possible way. If you're relying on a belief from your parents, then that's going to be stripped. It's going to, you're going to lose that pretty quick. It's going to be attacked, because then you don't have that foundation to stand on. So yeah, you really need to do it yourself.
It's funny. I think that even, obviously in the Christendom, you have parents that are like, get a little nervous if their kid veers like 1 degree away from like their beliefs or their traditions, maybe. But also it's funny, putting myself out there. Sometimes as a Christian, I'll have parents come to me, maybe parents in the coworkers in video production, film production, and they'll be like, yeah, my daughter's like going to church now. It's kind of like, I'm not sure what to think about that, and it's like, and so it's kind of interesting. That's a parental thing, I think, that like, hey, my kid's believing something different than me. So you have to kind of just accept that's what's going to happen, is your kids are not you. My kids are like 12 and 10, and I'm starting to worry they're not going to be exactly like me.
Well, my oldest is 13, and for me, I'm comfortable saying, I want you to ask questions. We can have conversations, but at the end of the day, if he's just relying on what I say, I know it's not going to work for him, because it didn't work for me. So it's one of those things where I think the more conversations that you can have and the more open you can be, saying, like, I don't know, we're very uncomfortable, it seems like, in the Christian realm, saying like, we don't know all the answers to everything. And I think sometimes you just need to say, like, I don't know. That is one of those mysterious questions that we don't know, but we do know this part, and focus on the things that like, there's hills to die on, and then there's hills to discuss. And I think that it's a good thing with your kids to train them up and teach them which ones are the ones that are, which ones will their daddy die on versus which ones are the ones that you should talk about and be open to and look at all the different angles of.
That's such a good thing too, is like, I think letting people, I feel, being a Christian like yourself who says, I don't have all the answers, to just say that out loud and to let other people hear that we don't have all the answers. We have our beliefs. We have what we believe, what we've come to believe from experience or teaching or learning or research. But letting our young people, letting our peers, just being honest and say, I don't know. How did you come to that? How did you come to your conclusion of atheism? How did you come to your conclusion? It's just a little bit of listening that we're not doing.
Yeah.
I think the more we listen, the more we'll learn, and the more we listen, the people want to be listened to, and the more we listen to, the more kudos we get, even if they don't believe what we think, and that's fine,
Yeah, I agree.
Cool, good. We're all right. We've solved the world's problems there, at least
Yes,
Christianity's problems. So let's move on to something we don't know the answer to, or I want to hear your story. Have you ever had a paranormal or spiritual or a supernatural, personal experience?
Yeah, well, so this is one of those areas where I think that it really depends on where you're coming from. So I would say I've had quite a few, and depending on how you look at it, some people would say, maybe it wasn't, or maybe it was, or different things. And so, my wife and I, we've experienced quite a lot of things, but like I boil back to, some simple things. Like I remember I was driving down the highway. I had this a convertible, and I was in college, and I was driving fast, and it was not crazy, but driving fast down the freeway. And I've never actually, no, it's definitely over the speed limit. Like, I mean, we're gonna be honest.
Thank you for your confession.
We're gonna be honest. We're definitely probably going too fast. But I was driving down the road, and I actually, like, I can say I've never heard like an audible voice of God. Like I've never heard that. Like that'd be awesome, but I haven't really heard it. But I don't really know how to describe. But I've definitely heard like something told me to get over. Like it was clear, and I was like, I remember thinking like, what? And it was like it was like really. I don't know how else to describe it. It was just a really strong, like, you need to get the heck over now. And so I just got over, and like, I kid you not, the minute I got over, the car in front of me was this big truck that had all this stuff strapped to it. And one of those things was a refrigerator. And this refrigerator, I kid you not, when I got over it, that thing flew off and slammed right where my car was, like exploded into a bunch of it. It was a big, giant aluminum refrigerator. And I remember it drove by, and there was this moment where I was like, okay, you need to remember this, because no one is going to believe that this just happened. There was no reason to get over. There was nobody near me, but I mean, if I hadn't gotten over it, that would have just went straight through that car, because it was a little convertible and whatever. But so I've had lots of experiences like that. I can see you
driving a Miata.
It was a Mitsubishi Eclipse GT.
Same thing.
Yeah. Anyway, and it was a stick shift, and it was fast, and I liked it a lot. But yeah. So anyway, all that to say, like, I've had lots of experiences that are similar to that are, for me, they're undeniable. Like, because I know what I felt or what I heard at the different moments, and there's these clear things that happen. Now, telling it to somebody else, they might just say, well, no, you just got over, and accidents happen all the time, but I think that if you're the one experiencing it, it's harder to deny the thing happened than it is to say, no, it actually happened. And so I've had lots of experiences just like that one. But I mean, I've even included that same exact story in some of my scripts, because it's in Breakers, actually, that story. One of the persons talk about that story in Breakers, because for me, it was a real deal. Like, it is full on 100%. So
the voice, it sounds like the voice liked that convertible as well. So, he's like, he's like, save the convertible, get over.
Yeah. But I mean, it was like I was going to have to fight it to not get over it. It was so strong. It was just like there's really no way to describe it. I can't do it for you, but it was just like the urge to get over was so great that it was almost undeniable that you had to get over. So anyway, that's that
awesome.
story.
Awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that. All right. So, the fruit of the spirit, love, joy, peace. The first three are my faves. They make, when do you feel love and what brings you peace?
Well, I mean, I get peace in different ways, but sometimes, in all honesty, I get it if I'm on a mountain, I usually am there, or if I'm on a softball field and the game hasn't started yet and I walk out into the outfield and it's evening and there's like a cool breeze and it's quiet, there's peace there. There's different times where I just feel like I think if you can get away from distraction and just have a moment where you can just say like, thank you, Jesus, that I get the chance to do whatever this is, or that I'm here and I'm doing whatever this is. Just the complete calmness and knowing I'm here, I'm doing something, and your mind is in that state, and you can recognize it for what it is. For me, that's peaceful. I think, in the house, there's sometimes that we have peace here, but a lot of the times, it's crazy. There's kids everywhere and there's, things happening, and it's hard to just have a calm. But for me, the most peaceful things happen, when everything is kind of still, and if you can get away and just have a moment like that, that's the best.
It's awesome. Yeah. Awesome. All right. So this is my new fun question. What's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you in like some kind of like religious context?
Sure. Okay. So this can't go anywhere, so don't tell anybody.
Well, right now there's only 4 people watching live. So
okay, great. That's perfect. That's the best.
I'm going to tag you after this, but yeah. No one's going to hear it.
Okay, so when I was like 15, if you rewind and go all the way back to that age, just like late 90s, right? Late 90s. And there was this big like charismatic movement going on in the churches, starting in like Toronto, and there was some stuff happening in Florida, and there's just big charismatic movements happening. And so I was at this non-denominational church, and the pastor had gone, I guess, to one of those services, and like the spirit was, I guess, moving crazy. And he decided, well, I can't say it like that, but he came back to this church and then did our service and decided to kind of incorporate some of those same charismatic elements into the service. And, I was like 16, and I was like, whatever. So at some point he gets to this altar call, and it was very emotional. And it was like, I remember feeling like, if you don't go down to the front, like you're an idiot. Like if you can't recognize sin in yourself at this point and you don't go to the front, like there's a problem with you. So like, the altar call came, and I went up there with like, probably 3/4 of the church, going up to the front. And I went up to the front, and so the pastor was going around and he was putting his hands on people and praying, and like, boom, they were like falling over Benny Hinn style. And it was like, I'd never seen this before. This was new for me. I didn't know what was happening. It was really kind of alarming. Like I was like, what is happening to these guys? They're on the floor. They're not even like, and there was people behind them catching them and like trying to stop them from falling and stuff. And I was like, they're coming down the line toward me. And I remember thinking, I don't know what I signed up for. Like what's about to happen to me? Like I had no idea. Like I'm like, God, I came down here, but are these people like, some of them look dead? It was kind of freaky. And so they kept coming down the line, and everybody one by one, like I kid you not, like 50 to 60 people had just been like slain in the spirit and were laying out there on the floor. And then the pastor gets to me, and he puts his hand on my forehead, and he starts praying, and he's being very repetitious and very fast, and he's praying. And I kid, like what I was thinking was like, dear Jesus, just take me, just send me down, just do whatever you got to do, like get me out of this awkward moment. And the problem is that nothing was happening. And I was just there, and I was like, please just, do whatever's happening, please. And they kept praying, and they kept praying, and they kept praying. And it's like, there was a stop. Like all of a sudden everything was going good. And then they hit me, and I was like, something's wrong. And, and I mean, I was so desperate. I was like, I don't know why. I mean, I felt like there was a problem with me. I was like, Jesus, just fix it. Just do what you got to do. And finally, the pastor kind of just gives up, and the guys behind me who are there to catch me in case I fell, they kind of just sort of lowered me halfway and were like, he's good. And they moved on to the next person. And then the next person was like, boom, and he just straight down and then down line. And then they left me there. And I'm standing there and like 40, 50 people around me, all passed out on the floor, but me. Yeah. And then it was like, all right. And then the service ends. And that screwed me up for so long. I was like, what happened to me? What's wrong with me? Like, it messed me up. My parents asked me about it on the way home. They're like, what happened? And I remember telling them the first time I told them, I was like, oh yeah, it was good. Jesus really did a work, because I was so embarrassed to say, I don't know what happened like to me.
Yeah.
But then later on, I was just like, I don't think there was a problem with me in the end. So I don't want to go, but that right there, that has stuck with me as the most awkward moment I think a person in a church can ever experience, is being the only person standing. Imagine a Benny Hinn stage and one dude standing right in the middle, and that guy is me. That's what happened.
I love that you're praying like, take me, Jesus, because it's awkward.
Yes. It's like, I don't know what to do. I didn't know am I supposed to say something? Am I supposed to breathe right? Like, they're over there like, put him down. Jesus, let your spirit come. Jesus, let your spirits come. Put him down, put him down, put him down. And I'm just like, please, yes, put me down. Please. Nothing. Just left me there. So it was rough.
Oh man.
And Megan's laughing. I'm glad somebody's experiencing this and enjoying this much later.
She's been there.
Oh man, I thought something was wrong with me for so long. I can't even tell you.
Oh my word, that's so good. That's so good. I think that, like, to me, like, those moments are, it's awkward. Like, life is awkward. Like, parenting is awkward. Birthing is awkward.
Yes.
Sex is awkward. There's so much about life. I think, and spirituality is awkward. Paranormal experiences are awkward. Having a relationship with Jesus is awkward. It's so, I think it's the honesty. I thank you for being honest about it, because I think that's there's so many people that I think we're don't share that. That makes Christianity look awkward. I'm like, Christianity is awkward. It's so is other religions. So is life.
Yeah.
And so thanks for sharing that, man. That's amazing. Thanks for the laugh, dude.
Well, if you can't laugh at it now, then there's a problem with you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm glad all that therapy has.
There was no therapy. There was me in a closet trying to figure it out.
I can recommend a good therapist in Texas for you.
Okay. Might need it.
So anyway, thank you for sharing that story. What do you? We're kind of like, we've been hanging out here for a good amount of time, and I could go on forever, but it will be 2022 coming up pretty soon.
Yeah.
What do you think? What's Chason Laing, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What's Chason Laing's legacy? What do you want your legacy to be?
I think I'm a fairly simplistic dude. If I can get my kids to embrace their talents and go with creating what they can and loving Jesus and building their families, getting married, staying married, that kind of thing. I that's pretty much all I really think that the legacy. And in the end, I think it's just family. I think you can do a lot of other things that are not family, but I think in the end, what happens with your kids and how you raise your kids and what they go off to do, that's kind of the whole thing. So for me, it's all about that. If I can train them up and get them kind of going on their paths where they're successful and they love Jesus down the line, then I'd be a happy man.
It's awesome, man. It's awesome. All right, the last and awkward question. In your last will and testament, what's the weirdest request that would bring you, the dead Chason, joy to see fulfilled?
Man, it's a good question. I like it, Kevin. So I would probably have to just make a weird request for my buddies, and it'd have to be like super serious. But I'd have to make them like take a trip somewhere, like take part of my ashes to this foreign place in Iceland, and then dump. And when you dump me there, you know, take a shot of whiskey and then say these words. And then only when they got home, my wife would tell me, yeah, he just did that to screw with you guys. Like that would be the most epic thing ever. And I would totally do it. Like you can ask her, she would be like, yeah, he would do that. So
I was like totally about to ask you like what place in Iceland,
oh,
what place,
the hardest
what
spot to
whiskey,
get to Iceland. That place up in the north
and
part.
what are the exact words?
Yes. And I would put it all out there. If I knew it was coming, if I was like on a deathbed, I'd be like, hey, Cassie, that's my wife. And I'd be like, come here. I want to make sure that you send your brother and my buddy Sean and send them all to Iceland and then get them all there. But don't tell them. Just, you know,
Especially
and then
her
like
brother.
give them this urn, but inside of it, just put some dirt. Like, don't even tell them it's not even me. Just send it.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Guys, if you don't watch this podcast.
Yes. They'll be like, he was messing with us. He just no. But yeah, that'd be pretty darn funny.
Yo, man, seriously, dude, it's so amazing talking with you and just getting to know you a little more. And hearing all the demented things you want to do to your brother and your friends.
Yes.
It's not too demented. It's just a little bit. Just a little.
Yeah. No, you gotta have some fun. You gotta have some fun. You know, they'd have a couple good pictures out of it. They'd be good.
So, Chason, thank you for joining me on Christians Who Drink Whiskey. We are all about leaving a legacy of laughter. And so, if you want to, again, just kind of leaving out here, just want to say thank you again to all our patrons who are supporting this.
Yes,
this
thank
show.
you.
Reach out to us at funny&amen@gmail.com. Become one of our 700 club supporters over at funny&amen.com. Hit the big support button there. And, get ready April 1st. We're having a fundraiser for leaving a legacy of laughter. And, I can't wait to what are your legacy projects? What's it called? The pandemic?
Yeah, sure. Pandemic.
Yeah, that comes out. Please come back and tag this podcast with
absolutely
with the link so we can get you as many views as possible.
Awesome, that'd be amazing. And Kevin, thanks for having me. It was great. It was a lot of fun.
Very cool. Very cool.
And I love whiskey, so it's great.
Yeah, I mean, what conversation, whiskey, some laughter. I mean, I think this is what God meant when He said, just have love, joy, and peace. So,
yes.
All right, let me hang out. We'll play this outro music, and we'll talk at the end. Bye.
Thanks.